From the invisible, from the very mind of God, flows a silent and continuous force that gives life, movement, and healing to all things in existence. The ancients called it Prana, but we might simply call it the divine life force, or the presence of God in action. It is an energy as subtle as it is powerful, and as ancient as creation itself. It is the very substance out of which all your demonstrations must be made. Well, in this study, we are going to explore a deeply practical, scientific method for restoring your body, your mind, and your circumstances. You will discover that your physical instrument requires much more than just physical food and rest. It requires the conscious, deliberate assimilation of living, divine energy. You are going to learn exactly how to absorb, direct, and multiply this invisible force to renew your cells, steady your nerves, and awaken your true spiritual power. You will come to understand precisely why some people effortlessly demonstrate vibrant health and radiant clarity, while others live in a perpetual state of chronic exhaustion and defeat. This is not mystical speculation or idle philosophy. It is the exact, practical science of breath, attention, and consciousness. When you learn to harmonize your mind with this vital energy, you stop merely surviving the day and begin to demonstrate the abundant life that is your absolute divine birthright. Pause for a moment in the whirlwind of your daily affairs and ask yourself, what is the true source of your energy? It is the great universal energy, the breath of life that permeates every manifestation. Your physical body is simply the instrument, the living battery that stores this energy, and your conscious mind is the dynamo that regulates its flow. If your mind is scattered by fear, resentment, or negativity, the battery rapidly drains. But if you keep your mind stayed on harmony and truth, your vigor and clarity will sustain you through any challenge without a trace of fatigue. We have noticed that many who seek these practical truths are not yet subscribed. You can support this work by pressing the subscribe button and liking this video, which helps us bring you more scientific spiritual tools. And remember, if you want to learn the exact methods for using the law of assumption to improve your life, I have created a completely free guide for you, linked in the description below. Now, prepare your mind. Let us begin. To master your life force, you must first understand the physical center where this divine energy is stored. We call this the solar plexus, located just behind the pit of the stomach. This vast network of nerves is the great silent storehouse of your physical and emotional being. Metaphysically speaking, it is the seat of the subconscious mind in the physical body. Every single time you give way to worry, fear, or a negative emotional reaction, your solar plexus physically contracts. You quite literally short-circuit your own vital battery. Worry is one of the most destructive habits of the human race. It is a completely useless discharge of divine energy into the ether. Gluttony, the abuse of physical stimulants, and a lack of proper sleep do the exact same thing to your machinery. To restore your solar plexus, you must practice conscious breathing coupled with scientific right thinking. Seek a quiet place, sit up straight so that your spine is erect, and place your hands gently over your stomach area. Inhale slowly and calmly, holding the breath for just a moment, and exhale peacefully. Do this without forcing anything. As you do, realize that you are drawing in the omnipresent life force of God. You are breathing in divine intelligence. If you do this daily, and couple it with a strict mental diet that absolutely refuses to entertain anxious or fearful thoughts, your internal battery will rapidly recharge, and you will feel a new sense of quiet power radiating from your center. Air is simply the physical vehicle. The divine energy is the true passenger. When you breathe in a shallow, erratic way, as most people do when they are frightened or rushed, your nervous system is like a dynamo running with faulty wiring. It produces sparks, noise, and tremendous fatigue, but no useful power. The scientific application of alternate breathing balances the subtle currents of the nervous system, bringing the physical instrument into perfect harmony with the divine mind. Sit quietly and close your right nostril with your thumb. Inhale deeply and smoothly through the left nostril. Pause momentarily. Then, close the left nostril, open the right, and exhale smoothly. Inhale through the right, pause, and exhale through the left. This simple, rhythmic alternation is profoundly practical. It acts as a master tuner for your brain and nervous system, perfectly balancing your emotional and logical centers. If you practice this for just a few cycles each morning, without straining your lungs or forcing the breath, you will find your mind clearing and your emotional state stabilizing. It is the simple, scientific art of charging the vital battery without exhausting the physical machinery. It is not enough to simply accumulate energy. You must aggressively stop leaking it. Emotional agitation, gossiping, criticizing others, and the destructive habit of exaggerating your daily troubles create a constant, catastrophic loss of vitality. Your nerves are the physical wires through which the divine current flows. If you fray them with constant negativity, mental arguments, and manufactured drama, you will experience what the world calls a nervous breakdown or chronic fatigue. The remedy for this leak is what we call the 3-minute pause. Stop your physical activity, sit down, and deliberately relax the physical tension in your forehead, your eyes, and your jaw. Close your eyes and breathe naturally. Observe your breath without trying to force or control it. If a fearful thought or a bitter memory arises, do not fight it. Fighting a negative thought only gives it more power. Simply turn your attention away from it and bring your focus back to the quiet presence of God within you. This is true nervous hygiene. Practice this mental isolation several times a day, insulating yourself from the world's chaos, and you will find a new, unshakable serenity taking the place of your old exhaustion. Once you have learned to stop the leaks through strict mental hygiene, you can begin to consciously store your energy for specific, practical demonstrations. Think of your solar plexus exactly like a water reservoir perched above a city. If the reservoir is full, you can open the tap and draw from it whenever you need to without running dry. Sit in silence and breathe rhythmically. Deliberately turn your attention to the solar plexus. Calmly and quietly visualize a warm, golden light accumulating in this center. Do this for no more than 5 to 7 minutes. You are not trying to force anything to happen by sheer human willpower. You are simply directing the natural flow of divine energy through your focused, serene attention. When you need extra steadiness for a task, whether it is a difficult conversation, an artistic endeavor, or a demanding physical effort, you can silently command this stored energy to flow out into your limbs or your voice. Remember always that this vital energy responds only to a calm, benevolent will. It cannot be used for selfish domination, but it will always answer the call of a quiet, ordered mind seeking to do good work. What the world superficially calls personal magnetism is not a trick of the human personality, nor is it a manipulative technique learned in a sales course. True magnetism is the natural, outward radiation of an inward, harmonized consciousness. When you are consciously in tune with the divine mind, your physical instrument naturally projects presence, composure, and quiet power. You become a center of peace in a chaotic world. You do not need to be loud to be heard, nor do you need to be forceful to be respected. The individual who has mastered their inner energy does not try to dominate others. Their very presence calms the atmosphere around them. Begin with your physical composure. A body that is constantly twitching, swaying, or making hurried, useless gestures is quite literally leaking prana into the ether. Walk with a steady, deliberate step. Sit with quiet dignity. When you eliminate nervous tics and hurried movements, you close the circuits of your vital battery, and the energy builds until it forms a powerful, magnetic aura around you. Your gaze and your voice are the 2 primary channels through which this divine energy flows into the world. Let your gaze be calm, attentive, and entirely free of fear or judgment. When you look at someone, practice seeing the Christ within them, the perfect spiritual idea behind their physical appearance. Do not stare aggressively, but do not look away out of human timidity. The tranquil gaze communicates a profound foundation of spiritual benevolence that others will instantly, instinctively trust. To work according to divine principle means to work without exhausting yourself. The modern world falsely worships frantic haste, equating wariness with merit. But exhaustion is merely proof that you have worked using human willpower rather than divine energy. Do your work efficiently, but absolutely refuse to be hurried. Divide your day into manageable blocks and insert brief, conscious pauses between your tasks. Before you draft an important letter, make a critical phone call, or begin a complex project, stop and take 3 conscious breaths. Center yourself in the presence of God. Decree that divine intelligence is directing your actions. This takes only seconds, but it aligns your mind with the infinite power of the universe. Before entering any social gathering or meeting, take a moment to silently bless the people you are about to encounter. Affirm quietly to yourself that divine harmony governs the interaction, and that you are there to serve with a clear mind, not to desperately seek approval. When you converse, practice the spiritual grace of true listening. Do not nervously plan your response while the other person is speaking. Simply listen with your whole being. A person who feels truly heard relaxes instantly, their defensive walls drop, and a current of trust begins to circulate between you. You do not need to dispense brilliant advice or lavish praise to leave a mark. Genuine attention and a calm presence are far more powerful than 1,000 witty remarks. You must be constantly vigilant against the temptation to use sarcasm, bitter irony, or humor at another's expense. Sarcasm is a sharp dagger that severs the spiritual connection between individuals. It is a direct failure of the law of love. The energy you invest in cutting remarks will inevitably return to strike your own peace of mind. Cultivate firmness without harshness. Uphold your principles calmly, without raising your voice or losing your temper. Let your social conduct be like a well-tended garden fence, firm enough to keep out unwanted trespassers, but open enough to let in the light and the beauty of genuine human connection.